more blacksmithing live here tonight. I'm going to attempt to do a little work on these tongs that I built that are going to be usable once I get the handles put in them better, so they don't flex so bad. So we're going to cheat this a little bit by, I'm gonna weld a little strength on these, because it don't matter what they look like as long as they work. Because I got the tool. Look what Welder I did. There we go. All right, well, these are going to be ugly, but they're going to work when I get them done. Okay, so we'll have a little welding lesson here. So you can push the bead, you can push the bead, or you can pull the bead. Yeah, it depends on what you're doing as to what is easier. On this, I think I'm going to pull it. First, can I use ranch instead of what to weld? What are you talking about, you children? What are all you goofy monkeys talking about? The good thing about a 70 series rod you can run a pretty nice bead with it, and you don't have to do a bunch of monkey business. You can just kind of lay it in there. Except when I get down here where it gets thin. And I'm going to be ever so gentle. Now I'm going to clean this slag off of this other rein. I love it. UGLY, ugly. He don't need no alibi. He's ugly. We're going to fix it. Now you could just cut those reins off and weld something else on there if you wanted to, but I got that material there. That's a little easier to keep that. Okay. Once I get that welded on both sides and all the way through, then I'll be able to put those back in the forge and I'll be able to forge them into whatever I want. But so when I pull that bead, that works really slick because you're just dropping that in there and you don't have to mess with it. If you're doing that right, that arc will just suck up that rod and it'll climb right up that rod. It works really good. I got pretty thick material there, and so I don't have to worry about blowing through. Material. Get a good ground edge, eh? So now I'm going to flip this around like that. Good thing about this DC inverted machine, this has a huge duty cycle. For a little tiny machine that it is, I can't believe the duty cycle on it. And if you don't know what a duty cycle is, it's the amount of time a welder can run without overheating, because of course you're running a lot of amperage through there, and they tend to overheat. So you people coming late to the party. This was a set of tongs that I made up the other day, as a just to show that you can make tongs without tongs. And I didn't have the right width of material, and so if you're curious about that and those tongs and making tongs, you can go back and watch that. But that ain't bad welding. Um, that's pretty good in there where I didn't get no undercut. I was told years ago by my uncle that taught me how to do this. You want it to look like a bunch of silver dimes that somebody pushed over, and that's how you can tell your weld is nice. I got just a little undercut in there, but I ain't no pipe fitter. I'm a dirty damn blacksmith. So this is the I try to take some pride in my welds, but I don't get a lot of practice doing things other than 2 welds that I do, and I'm going to show them to you here in a minute. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm pulling that way. It's a lot easier for most people to do that because you're not having to move your hand so much. If I was welding up that that way, I'd have to feed that rod in and maintain that speed going along there. But if I set that this way, I can just drop that rod in there and it works real slick. Stick welding is a lot different than running a wire feed welder. At 6 years old, my son could run a wire feed welder. Uh, Now he still hasn't really mastered the stick welding yet. There's a lot more variables with stick welding, but that's going to be a fine set of tongs when I get done with them. I'll grind this in and then I'll put them in the forge and I'll draw that out, make all that look semi the same, and they'll be very usable. No sense wasting them. I spent an hour on them the other day screwing around in the live stream. So for anybody that wants to know what this setup is, this is just a fort fan out of a bathroom. I just bought it at the base. And then this is just dryer vent. And I've got it exhausted out so I don't have to breathe the grunt. I've breathed plenty of it in my life. I'm sure eventually it's probably going to kill me. Well, I've just kind of come to terms with that. Some guys die from black lung. Old welders die from emphysema. The emphysema probably won't kill me though. So these are from the live stream this morning. And these are the for the hat racks. I've got a whole 20-foot stick of them here. I don't know. I think there's 14 or 15 of them there. And we're going to close them up. So I just weld them shut. I don't get too fancy with it. Let me go find a bucket to throw these in. And then tomorrow when the sun comes up, I'll take them out and I'll throw them in the tumbler. I've got a tumbler out here. And that's the best way I've found it. Saves me a lot of cleanup on those. I know there's a bunch of guys on here that are just dying to say something about old school, upgrade your tools, get a TIG welder, get a MIG welder. What are you doing? Oh, that's funny. You call that a weld? I watched a video from the Wyoming Welding Academy and you're doing that wrong. That's not the way they do it in Oklahoma. I personally believe doing good welds is about 50% being comfortable. Trying to do a good weld when you're standing on your head or you're cold, laying in a puddle of water underneath some piece of equipment or under a pipe, it is not any fun. I'm in a heated shop with fairly good lighting. I've got this giant freaking sugar scoop I'm using that's auto darkening, which totally changed the game. I've got rod that'll actually strike. I'm not shocking myself because I'm wet. I'm not shocking myself because I'm standing on some hog panel trying to weld the hog panel to a frame. So, if you have an Apple Watch, if you have something that you care about that's electronic that you wear on your person, do not wear it while you're doing this because this generates a huge magnetic field and it will screw her up. Hello. It will screw her up your Apple Watch or your good phone. Yeah, I don't even weld with my phone in my pocket because it'll screw up your phone too. It'll fry the speakers. It'll do all kinds of crazy stuff. That little bit of fart fan sure works good. I had a kitchen one. I had a big kitchen one that I used for drawing all of the smoke out, but I finally wore it finally gave up the ghost. I don't know, about 6 months ago. I've yet to find another one. I guess I could always order one from Granger or somewhere if I wanted to. I tend to not break it if it ain't, or fix it if it ain't broke. How's it going? I'm just doing the same damn thing I do every night, every day. These hat racks. I'm nothing if I'm not prolific. That's one thing you can say. I might be a terrible human being. But I'm nothing if I'm not prolific. Set those there. So now I've got components for a couple of other things. So I'm trying to kind of fill some backstock at the displays that I have downtown. And so I've been busily forging some toilet paper holders. That's a plain one. We'll put it on one of these back plates that we did. Big one and a little one. Now this is a more tricky weld. But this is why I use this rod and this welder, because that's got the mill scale still on it. And the wire feed doesn't like it, and I know a TIG welder wouldn't like it, but this old 7014 rod doesn't seem to mind this at all. I'm just making sure I'm semi-straight. As long as I'm not too far off, I can fix them. I replace the sweatband in this, and sometimes it don't stay on my head very good. See what the weld looks like. So that's not a bad weld. Everybody gives me a bad time about not slug welding. I have my reasons for not doing it. There is a motive in my madness on that. It's kind of a big back plate on that. I don't know. It'll go. There's nothing I can do about it now. It's already welded on. 7018 is my favorite. We call that the farmer's glue stick around here. This is 7014. It's a E7014. And this little machine really likes it in this 332nd. And I've welded hundreds of pounds of 7018 rod, but you can see that it strikes easy. It'll strike right through that, and it leaves a really clean weld, and the slag just drops right off. So that's part of the reason I use it. It's like the best I've found with this. And if you let it cool, and you get that just right, you let that cool. What kind of stick was he using there? This is a 3/32nd. A 3/32nd 7018 or 7014, and not all of it is the same. During COVID, I got a couple of boxes of this, and this is junk. This is Best Welds, and the flux on this is twice as thick as the flux on this Victory. And you wouldn't think there's that much difference in that rod, Well, I can tell you right now, this stuff is different. It does not weld the same. I don't know if you can see the difference there, but this one, this has twice the flux on it than this does. So it burns different. It doesn't strike as good. So I'm using this Victory. Um, I've tagged in some of my videos, I've tagged the ESOB brand, and I think you can actually order the ESOB brand, which is what I use for a welder. You can order that right through Walmart. At least it comes up on the Walmart when I try to tag it, it comes up in the Walmart search. Now I've had very good luck with ESOB product. I'm pretty sure this probably come from this is a this probably came from, I don't know, I'm guessing India. It doesn't say, but it is not the same rod as this Victory. I would definitely, in fact, I'll be ordering another one. In fact, I should be doing that because look, I don't have much of that left. But that Victory rod is good. I'm very happy with that. I'll be doing that again. And I'm going to tell you something. I am super, super, super duper impressed with this little ESOB welder. I mean, that it is crazy. Well, you just watched me run that great big long bead. I ran 4 long beads on that set of tongs, and it didn't run out. And the duty cycle, I've never kicked the duty cycle off on that little welder, and I've done some big welding with it, considering how small it is. And I think that welder it's got to be 8 or 9 years old, and I know I've run 100 pounds of rod through it, every bit of 100 pounds of rod through it. A 70 series rod, I believe they call that an all position rod. You'll have to check. You can Google it. So for you guys that don't know, the numbers in the rod tell you the tensile strength and what position you can weld with it. 70 rod, like 7014 and 7018, I think that's an all position rod. 70, I think the 7 is an all position rod. But you have to check. You can Google it. It's been so long since I've taken a welding test or anything, I can't remember. My buddy Brady handed me some of this from across the street the other day. He handed me some of this. This is a 6010, and I don't like this at all. And this machine doesn't like it. And so he gave me 3 or 4 sticks of it to try, and I got through about half a stick of it, and I was like, nope, that don't work. It don't like it. Okay, so watch me clean this weld. And that's why I like it. That's one of the reasons I like it. It just really it's pretty easy to manage. And like I said, I tried a whole bunch of different rods with this. I tried 1/8-inch rod. I tried tiny little rod. And but this machine eats this 3/6/32 up. And if I got to weld something big, I just make more passes. I just do like you would a pipe, gouge it out, put a root in it, put a couple of runs in it, and then cap it. Okay, let's do a boot jack. I think I got some boot jack. So see these lines on my, I don't know if you can see them. See this line here and this line here? So that's the maximum length that one of these boot jacks can be to fit in a flat rate box. Sometimes I've got to fiddle part of that. Let me get rid of some of this stuff. I got a lot of shit. Thought I had more of those made up. Maybe I'll have to do some more of those tonight. Got some orders that come. So I just took a paint stick and I painted some lines on there. Is that little there we go, that will work. And when you're doing these, you can't really go by the nail holes because the nail holes aren't always straight. Especially when I do this, a lot of times one leg will be a little longer than the other, so I fiddle fart around with it a little bit. And a horseshoe is not an easy thing to weld because what do we got here? The 70 means 70,000 pounds of tensile strength for a cubic inch of material. But I've had experience where some rods aren't meant to weld overhead, but can very well. Yeah. Looks like you should remind people to give a thumbs up. It's easy just to double tap the screen. I appreciate that. Yeah. Give me some likes. Go like my stuff. That's what I'd really like everybody to do. Subscribe and go to the Etsy store and like my stuff. That would be great. That probably helps me more than anything. That just helps with the whole Etsy store algorithm. Okay, so when you weld these horseshoes, they want a spring. So, and I've literally welded probably 25 tons of horseshoes together. But that's probably my biggest cheat. Thank you. I appreciate it very, very much. That's probably my biggest. I'm almost at 100. I'm almost at 115,000 subscribers. And I don't think there's any big change in the algorithm until you get to like 200,000 or something like that. But it'd be fun to find out if YouTube gives me some little. Maybe they'll open up some little hidden door or something and help me along a little bit if I get a few more subscribers. So you want to keep this when you're welding on this. You don't want to be flat. You want to be about 45 degrees. I think is about the ideal position. So see, I pulled 3 of those welds and I pushed one. And I've just welded so many of these horseshoes together. So if you're curious about this and you're curious about what these are, you can go watch my other videos, especially the live streams. I think I did one about these the other night, but you can go watch my short videos. And I doing talked about doing these. I try to get them fairly level. It's not exactly mandatory, but I try to make them look as nice as I can. I guess that's kind of an overhead weld. There, I guess that's kind of a little short one. In the words of my father, weld the shit out of it. You don't want to have to get one back. And so far, I haven't had anybody call me and go, hey, I busted your boot jack. I need you to send me another one. Does everybody understand how that works? Do you guys know what that is? That is just about as close as I can get. But what you guys got to understand, especially on those little short welds like that, I'm literally pushing that rod down into there. Once that material gets liquid, I'm literally, so I'm welding these two pieces together. So what I'm literally pushing that rod down into that a little bit to get that amperage down in that steel a little. And see how I brace myself? I'm just not out here willy-nilly flinging this around like a fly rod. I got my arm braced. I got my arm braced. I know you guys are getting some use out of what I'm doing here, but I got to thinking about this today. My son turns 20 years old. He turned 20 years old in August, and he and I have been going round and round. He's like, Dad, you gotta stay on the planet until you get to your grandkids and meet your grandkids. And I was like, oh, Trey, there's no guaranteeing about that. But the good thing about this YouTube is my grandkids, if he ever has any kids, my grandkids are going to know me pretty good just from, they can just come to the YouTube channel and watch. And that is pretty cool. That's pretty cool for us. Hey, Dad, what was Grandpa like? Oh, well, here, I'll show you. You can see what an ornery old bastard he was. It's funny how some of them just turn out better than others. It's a feel. It's a feel. Go kind of easy does it. Because you tap that or scratch that too hard and you knock everything apart. That one kind of turned out pretty good. That ain't bad. A little different. What do you guys think? All right. So you want your welder to last a good long time. Don't shut it off after you've been welding with it, because that big winding on the inside is hot. Let that fan blow over that welder and get good and cooled off before you shut it off. That will make your welder last a lot longer. It's better to let it run than shut it off and sit there and cook. So if you were wondering about my funny hats, that's what those are. Those are welding hats. This one's getting a little age on it. It's pretty dirty. I need to wash it, but you can just almost pick out my logo on there. All right, any questions about this whole thing before I go collapse and find me a pallet to lay on tonight? Any questions about blacksmithing or anything before I take off? I don't have anything cool to show you, really. There's a bit I made. There's one of the bits I made years ago. One I made for my mare that I had to put down. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I thought I was, looking pretty good with my mutton chops. I shortened them up. That looks a little bit better. If I actually remembered to shave, maybe I'll leave them another day. I kind of like them. Transgender. That's funny. How much do you make bits and spurs go for? Depends on how fancy you want them. Well, don't tell my girlfriend that, please. Or my ex-wife. Or the mother of my son. I don't care. You can tell her anything you want. Maybe it's the mustache that makes me come off. Or is it the hat that makes me come off as gay? I know I got a lot of gay followers on Facebook. I don't know where they all found me. Somehow I found gay Facebook, or somebody put me on gay Facebook. I got a lot of gay subscribers on there. Whatever, I don't care. I just don't send me no pictures. The hat? Yeah. They're designed for welding. And there's still a few guys around that wear them, and that's why I have to wear one, because it sucks. Getting splatter on the top of your head, it is not any fun. It isn't. And talk about bad sunburn. You welding out without a hat on and you burn the top of your head, oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. I ordered these. A friend of mine helped me order these, and we got them from, I don't know, Alibaba, or just in typical ordering from China. I ordered 100 of these, and they were about 50% right. I wanted black. I wanted the logo white, so they sent me gray, and they put a white logo on them, which you cannot see. But it's all right because they don't last very long. I go through one about once a month. I go through one because you just burn holes in them and stuff. So yeah, I generally like one that's more form fitting to my head. Once you wash them, they shrink up and they fit your head a lot better. But they're $5. It's like using this welding rod. It's a consumable thing. You're gonna wear them out. Yeah, yeah. But I hate welding in a ball cap, because a ball cap, you got to turn that hat around backwards when you're welding in it. Because you're welding, this will rub. You can't get your bill of your hat in here, so you got to turn your hat backwards, right? So now that's all weird. You got the thing in the back of your hat there, and then they all have a button right on the top. And guess where that button rubs? On a baseball cap. And so I cannot weld in a baseball cap, because that button rubs on the top of my bald head right there, and it makes me sore. So a lot of times you'll see, like, oil field guys, pipeliners, they turn theirs like this, because those guys weld with what they call a pancake hood, which is just one side and the lens. They don't run a sugar scoop like this. I don't know. Do they call this a sugar scoop still? Most sugar scoops, the old school sugar scoops were round. And I got this one because it's got the biggest lens in it. It's the biggest lens they make. And that's because I have to wear the cheaters. And if you have a little narrow in there, you're fighting that sucker to see out of it. And so that bigger lens really helps. But once in a while you'll see me wear that like that. But the reason those pipeliner guys, they wear their welding hat like that, when they're under that pipe, it keeps that sparks and that slag out of their ear. Because man, you want to talk about something that'll drive you crazy. Get a little hot sparks in your ear and in there bubbling against the wax inside your ear. Might be why I'm a little bit cuckoo. All right. Well, you guys, tomorrow is Monday. I'll be doing a live stream first thing in the morning because I got a bunch of stuff I got to finish up. So I'm gonna be up bright and early, and I'll be doing another live stream in the morning. I don't know how long this little series of live streams is going to go. We'll see. They don't pay nothing. They pay absolutely nothing on here. This is a labor of love. I make no money off of these live streams. I'm hoping I can get a little time and go back and cut some short videos out of the live streams maybe and post those on YouTube. So we'll see what happens. I'm getting caught up little by little. I might even work on some branding irons tomorrow. I've got a couple of branding irons I got to make, so I might work on those tomorrow too. So we'll see what happens. See what everything gets done. All right, everybody, get it hot and hit it. Always wear your safety splints. If you like the content, slip over to the Etsy store and share some love. You don't have to buy nothing. Just go like it. It's called Cody Iron Works. If you just Google it, it comes right up. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you in the morning.